Welcome to the hardest decision, how to downsize your company properly. We're going to be mostly speaking to CEOs, and we talk a little bit about Dr. Kevorkian, the hardest decision, and a coming squall. I'm Walt Brown, the co-founder of the firm 7 Questions, 7 Promises, and the author of a couple of books, The Patient Organization and Death of the Org Chart, all about business. And what we focus on is we do in-person coaching of teams, and we host and run self-led online learning. So check us out. One of the things that we believe at 7 Questions, 7 Promises, just to lay a foundation, is that your company, your organization is a fiction that is only given meaning and power by those individuals, those people you employ who buy in. And if you got 50 people and 26 buy into one thing and 24 buy into something else, you've got 2 organizations. You've already been divided and you're on your way to being conquered. And they buy into 3 things. They buy into you having clarity and consistency around your culture, clarity and consistency around how you operate, and then clarity and consistency around your structure. And today we really are diving into structure, and we do a lot of work helping companies with the right structure. A or B? Walt, you cannot post that. People will see you as the Dr. Kevorkian of business coaches. That's a terrible idea. That was the reaction of Ann, my beautiful wife of 30 plus years, and I always listen to her. Remember, this is A or B. B, Walt, you have to share the Dr. Kevorkian message right now. CEOs need that message and your execution tips. This comes from my Sparkers, the 24 trusted advisors of business owners that I've been meeting with every month for the last 12 years. I met with them Thursday, May 13th, in a parking lot during the COVID crisis. This is just a few of them. And what they said is share it. So we're going with B. Sorry, Ann. I believe the hardest decision we make as a CEO or owner is letting somebody go. Somebody. That's what we're going to call this person. And let me share why. It is because this is the least informed decision we make. It's basically an information black hole that is really hard to fill. And why is it hard to fill? So let me give an example real quick. No CEO is going to walk up to this somebody and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about letting you go. Can we make some time for you to help me understand exactly what you're doing every day so I can see who might take over for you when I ask you to leave?" This information gap and the inability to easily fill it causes fear. And with fear, as humans, we tap the brakes when there's uncertainty, and we become fearful, and the head trash fills in, emotion rise, and we do not think clearly. And this causes us to postpone the hardest decision. And add to this that there is a coming squall. Add a squall to this recipe. There's a squall on the horizon that's going to require CEOs to live the hardest decision life. And we can look at this in 2 ways. There's a plus and a minus. On the plus side, there's going to be an opportunity to upgrade our team with people whose ships have sunk during this storm. And on the minus side, we need to prepare our ship for the storm by clearing the decks of the somebodies who need to go. Somebody that we cannot afford to carry through the storm, who will cause our ship to sink. Good news. The good news is this. is both the positive and the negative require the same approach. What can you do right now? How can you fill this information gap to turn your hardest decision, the decision to downsize your company, into a straightforward decision? Step 1, make a list of your Dr. Kevorkian candidates, the somebodies. Now is a perfect opportunity to reflect and make the most important list of your life. As the COVID-19 tide goes out, what we see more clearly than ever is who is bringing it and who's been hiding or mailing it in. Make your list and loosely prioritize it top to bottom. Then step 2, do a flower power exercise on each of these Dr. Kevorkian candidates, starting near the top of your list. And I'm going to take you through the steps below, show you how to do it. In normal times, we do flower power exercises on individuals who want to really help them understand exactly what they're doing in order to focus them, and we include them in the exercise. But for now, including the candidate is impossible, but it'll work just fine for now. Here's the flower power exercise and the way it works. This is a picture of a real peacetime board where we had worked on Skippy. And you'll see kind of the way this works. That's my sloppy writing. I apologize for that. Who to include in the flower power exercise for each candidate? Only include people who will be left on the ship, obviously. And if you can find somebody who's doing the exact same thing Dr. K candidate is doing, that will be a bonus. But it shouldn't hold you back if you can't find somebody like that. A good number is 3 or 4 people who really know what our candidate is doing. So we have to decide who we're going to work on first. So we draw a circle in the middle of like a whiteboard, and we add the person we're working on's name, Joe. And then we ask this question. It's called "What Can't Drop Through the Cracks" question. And what you do is you ask each person to sit there with a piece of paper, 3 or 4 of you, and you reflect on what Joe does. You lift up above the business and you look down on what Joe's doing. You say, let's reflect on Joe, what Joe does, everything that he's thinking about and doing every second, every minute, every hour, every day, every month, every week. What are all the things on Joe's plate that have to get done or thought about? What can't fall through the cracks? And you ask everyone to take a few quiet minutes and reflect on that and make a list. If there's 4 people, each person should probably have 15 items or so. And then what we do is we extract the items off of these lists to the board. So you go around the group and you have each person share one thing off their list that Joe does. The first person might say answering client calls, and that goes on the line up here at the right, and you write that on the board. The next person might say sending welcoming packets to a new client. That goes in a different area on the board, and then you write that in a different area. And then the next person might say answer client emails, and you might say, that kind of sounds like that belongs in the same area as client answer client calls. And just jot it down, like in the left-hand column. And you go around and go around. Each person shares one item, and you're doing like a real-time sort onto the board. So keep going around, jotting down list items and grouping the similar ones in the same area on the board. And by the time you've gone through everything that Joe does, all that he thinks about and every task completes every second of every day, and group them in similar areas, you might have a half dozen or more of these buckets or groupings. You'll see the way it builds out. And now, the reason why it's called the flower power exercise is we have this term we call petals. And finally, what you do is you just take your pen and from the center, run out and loop out around from Joe around the different areas back to the center, anchoring your line back in the center of the circle. And the resulting diagram is going to look a lot like a flower with long petals. That's the name flower power exercise. And these are the positions each would just loop back to the center that overlap with Joe and form Joe's job. Danger. Resist the urge to cut the list down or to group these pieces together. We're looking for granularity. So don't do that. Danger. The next step is just to go through here and number the pedals. Just, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here in Joe's case. And once we have them numbered, we go to another section of the board and we make a list 1 through 8 with 2 columns that we're going to fill in here. And this is the naming part of the exercise, and it's really important to do both of these pieces. So when we've established the pedals, these are the frameworks for our positions which need to be named. Once every item is numbered, ask each person to take a sheet of paper and write the numbers down the middle, creating a left-hand column and a right-hand column. Label the left-hand column like humorous or funny name and the right column serious position name. Have everyone take a few minutes to think about and assign position names to the numbers of the pedals on his or her list. Often the humorous column will follow a pattern, movies or cartoon characters. And why the humorous column? The point is to stretch your brains, stretch your thinking, and naming them twice from 2 perspectives to drive deeper understanding and to create a better outcome. Don't skip this part. Doesn't add a whole lot of time. Then finally, compare your lists, debate them, and whittle it down to just 1 position name for each number. This is going to be the inventory of everything that Joe was doing and that you're going to need to distribute. Now, assign or reassign positions. Now that you're going to be equipped to assign, one of the things you're going to find is you're going to find some new positions that you really didn't know was going on in the business that Joe's been doing. So you're going to need to assign those to some people. And then you're going to need to reassign some of the things you already knew that he was doing to remaining people on their jobs. So you're taking your candidates' positions and you're basically just debating and deciding who's going to take over these positions that Joe is covering when Joe leaves. It gives you a roadmap into the future. It is a very hard decision. And I'm hoping I've helped you laugh a little bit, and I hope I've given you a way to work through this hard decision to make it a straightforward decision. Feel free to reach out to me, Walt at 7q7p.com, or visit us at 7q7p.com. Always here to help. Thank you.